D-Day, 6th of June, 1944. Children who survived World War II didn't just live through the air raids and the bombings. They lived through much more. They lived through the loss of the parents, the homes, and the safety. Sometimes without words, without comfort, and without even being asked how they felt. Today, children are still living through trauma, but instead of the war, it often comes from inside of their homes. Emotional abuse, neglect, and something many now recognize as narcissistic parenting. In this video, I'm going to connect the dots between adverse childhood experiences, the emotional trauma of World War II survivors, and the silent suffering of children today. An adverse childhood experience, or an ACE, as it's known, is any deeply distressing event in a child's life that affects their emotional or physical development. Children in World War II didn't just have one ACE, they often had many, witnessing violence, being separated from family, losing parents, siblings, living in constant fear of death, some even incarcerated, or watching their parents being incarcerated. So imagine a child in Normandy during D-Day hiding in a cellar as tanks rolled past, or a London child pulled from the rubble after the bombing and then sent to live with strangers for years. These were the formative years shaped by fear, grief, and survival. And for many, the trauma was never spoken about, just carried in silence. After the war, many survivors went on to raise families. They worked hard, they rebuilt their lives, but emotionally, many stayed shut down. Why? Well, because they were never allowed to process what they lived through. Or maybe they didn't even know that they could. And they maybe didn't know that trauma existed or what trauma even was. Children raised by war survivors often describe their parents as cold or emotionally distant, rigid, controlling, unavailable, or sometimes explosive without warning. This is generational trauma, not from malice, but from unhealed emotional wounds passed down like invisible heirlooms. Fast forward to now. Many children today face emotional trauma that doesn't involve bombs or tanks, but is just as damaging. Children of narcissistic parents often grow up with constant criticism and emotional invalidation. Love that's conditional on performance, on obedience, or take my side. Blame, manipulation, or being used to meet the parents' emotional needs. And like wartime survivors, these children often learn to shut down their feelings, walk on eggshells, and feel invisible or not good enough. But unlike wartime trauma, narcissistic abuse is often hidden. There's no physical evidence, only emotional scars. So whether it was the trauma of the war or the trauma of emotional neglect, the result is often the same. Children grow into adults who don't know how to feel safe. They don't know how to trust, and they don't know how to connect emotionally. The patterns repeat. An emotionally distant World War II survivor raises a child who learns not to cry, and that child grows up emotionally starved. And many may overcompensate or repeat the cycle in parenting. Understanding ACEs gives us a language for these invisible wounds and a way to break the cycle, to break free through skilling up. So if you grew up in a home filled with fear, shame, silence, or emotional manipulation, whether it was during wartime or not, your experience matters. Your pain is valid, and even if others say it's not, or others had different experiences from you, even if nobody hit you, and even if no one talks about it or wants to hear about it. You're not weak for being affected. You're human. So if you have children, if you're a parent now, healing from your own childhood, maybe both, awareness of adverse childhood experiences, emotional abuse, and narcissistic trauma can be the key to stopping the pattern. Because trauma, it may be passed down, but so can healing. So if this resonates with you, please leave a comment, or if words are hard, just put a thumbs up or a heart. Subscribe, please, for more trauma-informed content. And remember, you're not alone in this. Healing is possible, and it begins when we speak what once was unspeakable.